The art of war is filled with many important insights, but there are three key principles that stand out and unify Sun Tzu's philosophy. Sun Tzu says, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and in 100 battles you will never be in peril." In the art of war, understanding your opponent is crucial to victory. Sun Tzu says, to win 100 battles is not the height of skill. To subdue the enemy without fighting is. Fighting costs lives and money. Sun Tzu prizes the general who can outwit instead of outfight his opponent. Sun Tzu says, avoid what is strong, attack what is weak. Throughout history, armies fight head-to-head on the battlefield to show their strength and courage. But Sun Tzu doesn't care about glory. He only wants to win.
While each of these principles is important, think of them as cords in a strong rope. Individually, they may be strong, but when you put them together and use them holistically, they're unbreakable. I think throughout time, if generals had listened to Sun Tzu, you would probably not have seen a lot of the bloody wars of attrition that mankind has suffered through. He was very focused on how do I achieve my goal with the minimum amount of resources used, with the minimum amount of destruction.
He downplays the value of direct attack and puts the emphasis on maneuver, surprise, deception.
All warfare should be based upon the intellect. In fact, the greatest battles of all time have been won by the brain and not by brute force.
Giap has learned Sun Tzu's principle that it is more important to outthink your enemy than to outfight him. And it's tactics and strategy, not overwhelming firepower, that causes the U.S. to ultimately lose the war in Vietnam, a loss that Sun Tzu predicted thousands of years earlier. Sun Tzu says, in war, numbers alone confer no advantage. Do not advance relying on sheer military power. It's the mid-1960s in Vietnam. U.S. General William Westmoreland orders intense aerial bombardments. The U.S. will eventually drop nearly 7 million tons of bombs on Indochina during the war, more than twice the tonnage of all the bombs dropped by the U.S. in World War II. But the Americans are about to learn Sun Tzu's lesson the hard way, that despite overwhelming military power and the valor of its soldiers, the U.S. cannot win this war.
Between 1959 and 1975, the North Vietnamese fought a very desperate war against the South Vietnamese government and their U.S. allies. And even though they were heavily outgunned, when you look at how the war was fought and see that through Sun Tzu's eyes, it's obvious how they prevailed.